So, Julia, let's begin with your journey. What triggered your journey to Islam?
Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to meet you. There are many things that triggered my journey. I was a soul searcher since I was a kid. First, I became Buddhist after being a Christian.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in France, in Nantes, and I was very spiritual at a very young age. I wanted to become a priest. Then I was not satisfied with Catholicism, so my mother, she knew I needed some spiritual food, spiritual elements in my life, so she guided me to Buddhism. Then I had the chance to travel around the world in more than 50 countries, and ultimately, I mean, Islam was the last thing I wanted, but I was...
your mother advised you to look into Buddhism.
Yes.
So she wasn't a practicing Catholic?
No, in France, 70% of the people have become atheist or agnostic, so the generation of my mother abandoned Catholicism for many reasons. But they were still believing in God or something spiritual, and Buddhism came very strongly in the 90s with the Dalai Lama. There's a huge promotion about that, and we watched movies together, and I like the peace meditation part of Buddhism, which is quite similar to Islam. If you look at when you have to withdraw, when you have to seclude yourself and think about God. Yes.
Do khalwa.
Like Rasulullah sallallahu when he got the revelation,
yes,
he withdrew from the world, right? So I traveled around the world, and I started to work as an international reporter with reports in the New York Times, The Economist, and I was in many Muslim countries. Every time I hear the azan in Cyprus, in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, I felt something compelling me, like, hey, it's for you, but I didn't know. I thought it was a religion only for Arabs. So I thought, so I never really bothered to question, and when I lived in the Philippines, I decided to settle in the Philippines, which is a very practicing Christian country. That put me back on track, on the path of God. I went back to the church.
As a Catholic?
As a no longer a Catholic church. It was like Protestant, born again. With the born again, they read the Bible at least. The Catholic, they don't read the Bible. So that's a big difference. So I was trying to go back to Christianity. I was about to baptize again. And right after the Ramadan of 2012, I was studying Islam at the same time. And I asked God, I made prayer to God. I said, I need to choose one of the two religions.
That was in the Philippines?
I was in the Philippines. I went for the Eid. I was not yet Muslim. I went with some Muslim friends that I met. I saw some women praying behind men. I said, this is not fair. I didn't understand yet the whole thing. So I liked the spirit. I thought it was very, very strong.
In Manila or?
In Manila. And I took my shahada in front of my computer watching Peace TV. And many other programs. I mean, so I really value what you're doing and what everybody's doing on the media, because I took my shahada in my room in front of my computer. After that, I went to an embassy and the khutbah, and I took my shahada in front of everybody.
That process, which started with hearing the adhan, how long did it take altogether?
Well, Cyprus was 2007, and I became Muslim 2012. So actually, it's my first country, my first mission was in Dubai. So already in Dubai, I start to feel something, a bit of flavor on Islam. And then I traveled in Cyprus, and actually Istanbul was a big thing for me. I remember I was in Sultanahmet, and I met some Muslim, and they told me normally we should pray 50 times. But it's been reduced to 5. I was like, wow, this is a lot, 50. I mean, what type of God asked that? I was like 50 times during the day. Now I understand the value. Like, we pray 5, but actually the value is 50 or, So I went to some masjid and I was meditating inside the masjids. So I thought every place I should be able to meditate. And so people were praying. I was meditating inside the masjid. It took me time, but Turkey is part of it. Yeah.
That was part of the process before conversion?
Yes, yeah. Many things, but one thing that struck me. I was on my way to Philippines. I stopped over in Abu Dhabi for 8 hours between 2 flights. I take a taxi. I listened to a song. I thought it was a song at the time. And I said to the taxi, what is this song? It really touched my heart. And he stopped the car. He said, brother, it's not a song, it's the Qur'an. And he started to warn me. Immediately, he said, brother, if you want to save yourself from the hellfire, save yourself and your family, become Muslim.
He invited you.
Directly. And this is the best dawah you can do to someone. If you have only 2 minutes, you don't have the time, to establish. So at the time, I said...
He saw you influenced.
Yeah, we talked a little bit. I think he liked me, and he said, you're a good man. Please save yourself from the hellfire and your family. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Nobody's going to hellfire here. Just chill, And he said to me, promise me you're going to read the Quran. And I said, yes, but at the time I thought... And I told him at the time I was kind of this new age thinking guy, like God is too big for one religion, so God cannot choose only one religion. All religions are good, it's different way of understanding. So I told him, promise me you're going to check this website. Ultimately, a few years down the line, I read the Quran, I became Muslim. But this is a big, that was the biggest story. I think it's this man, he was, I think, Pakistani. May Allah bless him and puts a lot of rewards on his scale, because that's what every Muslim should do, and we're claiming we're 1 billion people, but now we are talking about this coronavirus a lot, but the biggest virus in the world is the shirk, Like the coronavirus affects your body, right? And you can die, but people don't realize they're already dead spiritually for the next life, So the same way, sorry, I'm just jumping over the wagon because time is short, but the message I want to send to people is like, if you have urgency for stopping this virus, what about us people, non-Muslim? We have 5 billions on our way to die.
They need to be rescued.
Yes, and this is a much bigger priority. The only thing is, yes, it's not because we don't see the hellfire, we don't see the day of judgment, but why the Muslim, we are not taking the same, if not bigger, aggressive approach to this massive, massive problem that at least the people should be aware. You see, now all over the world, people are aware there's a corona, we have to be careful. But to be fair, are the people in South America aware, 500 million people, that it's the last continent, for example, where Islam has not been spread? They should be aware of the consequence, like this Pakistani told me. He warned me, and this is the thing that we have to show Allah, we are sincere about that work,
Now, after the conversion, from what you told me about your mother and your family, probably didn't make much difference to them, or did it?
Well, my mom, she's a French woman, okay, so I don't need to say much, she's a fantastic mother. She's been guiding me, grooming me so well. She allowed me to travel at 18 years old. She allowed me to go to Australia to study English. But of course, when I told her that, she immediately told me, that's the worst thing you can tell me. So
she didn't mind you being a Buddhist?
No.
Not a Muslim?
No. But she said to me, because she has a feminist view, the West has been selling to the people that, to us, that Islam is oppressive toward women, when actually we know Islam is liberating women. Before Islam, women were treating like nothing. So Islam is the religion of dignity for women. That's why 70% of converts are women. But of course she didn't see it that way, but she was of understanding, but things starting to go very wrong with my family, with Charlie Hebdo, and all these attacks that happened in France.
Sad,
and I always say, we got a few 9/11s in our country. People don't realize, we got attacked constantly. But I don't know who, honestly. For me, it doesn't matter anymore. The damage has been done. And for 1 year, I didn't talk to my mother. We had some issues. Now things are better, alhamdulillah. But it's been very tough. I haven't been talking for my siblings for also a few years. So my family is now back on track with me, but I have to say that the ambience in France is very special. I always say
it's very hostile, isn't it?
It's very different from UK and USA. If you think there's Islamophobia in those countries, wait for France. France is every day bombarding. There's no one day Islam is bashed in every media. You listen to the radio, you can't, in less than an hour, someone is going to bash Islam. So it's just insane. And even some scholars in France now are saying, even them, if they understand why people are becoming Islamophobe. Actually, they themselves could be scared of their own brothers. It comes to that level because of the bashing in the media, and that's why I'm also doing media myself, because the amount of nonsense that is perpetuated by people that pretend to have studied Islam and know about Islam is just crazy. They have basically a free license for bashing and lies. You know,
is that what motivated you to do
Freedom?
Freedom, the film?
Yes, because I realized the power. Like my mother at that time, she came with a documentary made by two French guys who went around the world to find out about the truth, and I realized that it's powerful. And so we came up with this concept of 50 converts from 25 countries in 15 languages to explain that what is the definition of freedom? You know, because the West is claiming to be freedom, free world, the freedom fighter, but in reality, Rasulullah ﷺ is the one who brought freedom to mankind, because the mission of Islam is to liberate mankind from the oppression of other men to the worship of Allah. It's when you worship Allah, then you're only free from your desires, from all these things. So since I became Muslim, I can truly say I'm free now. But the freedom is always ongoing, you know. There's always other things that make you captives. But the non-Muslim are not aware that actually they are enslaved by the desires.
Now, it sounds a big project. I mean, 50 individuals, 50 converts from 50 different countries, 50 different languages.
Yes. 25 countries, 15 languages. So we just finished a tour, a world screening tour. It started in South Africa because of Freedom Day. We had a big day about freedom, and we started 2 years ago. We just finished the tour in New Zealand. We went to Christchurch, where the attack happened. We screened the film to 200 non-Muslim people in Christchurch. They love it. We had one shahada in Dunedin, where the murderer was practicing, you know, his terrible attack. So we just finished the tour, and now we want to share it to the world, because we made a lot of surveys, and we got a scoring of 8.5 out of 10 from the Muslim, 8 out of 10 from the non-Muslims. You know, so it's been certified.
It's impressive, huh?
Even Christian missionaries from France contacted me. They watched the film in South Africa. They tried to convert me back to Christianity after watching our film Freedom, imagine. But even Christians respect our film, because they understand that it's not a propaganda. We became Muslim out of our own will. And it's just our story. It's not scripted, you know. We asked 10 questions to everybody, the same question, and here you go. And when we just took the best part, but there's no script, and that's why it's very sincere, ikhlas. And that's why our company is called Halis Media, you know. It's pure, it's true, you know.
Now, when you were touring the world, and when you went to the Emirates and then to Manila, you were working in the media, in the mainstream media.
Yes, I was working for an agency. Yeah.
How did your conversion impact on your profession? Did it matter?
Well, I actually converted when I became a singer-songwriter in the Philippines. So when I stopped actually...
Oh, you stopped working as a correspondent?
Yeah. At 27 years old, I got burnt out by the industry. It was very demanding, very, exciting. I was young, traveling around the world, first class. But at 27 years old, I had enough money to stop for 1 year. I did a sabbatical year. I went on the Way of James. It's a pilgrim, you know, famous pilgrim. Paulo Coelho wrote about it. The Pope. The Christians have two pilgrims, Rome and Way of James, which is in Spain, Santiago de Compostela, they call it. So I walk 1,000 kilometers.
On foot?
On foot, for 30 days, with my guitar. Singing song about God, asking God to guide me. So I was literally, physically searching for God. I was walking between 30 to 50 kilometers a day. And, you know, walking brings confidence, and also it's a way we used to do Hajj, right?
Yes.
So I did my Christian Hajj which is not in the scriptures, by the way. It's something they made up after because they said one of the apostles' body has been found under the church in Spain.
And where do you start from? You started from...
You can start from Russia. You can start
from
wherever.
Anywhere.
Yeah. In order to be qualified to be a pilgrim, you have to start at least, I think, 150 kilometers before.
150 kilometers.
Yeah, something like this. But I started at the border of France, so it's 1,000 kilometers. I did that in 30 days. And that was a tremendous experience. And so my
That was
search,
before you went to Manila.
That was before I decided to become a singer-songwriter, because I needed some trust. It was something I've never done. I took classes of singing. Actually, I use my songwriting, and I know Arabs love poetry, and I'm a poet myself. I write songs.
They love songs too.
Correct. So, I asked God in one of my songs called "Free to Love." I asked God, "Oh God, please send me your light to be free." I was not Muslim at the time, Nur. So I was asking Allah to. I knew as a non-Muslim, I knew I was not on the haq. Every time I go to bed, I was like, okay, my life is good. I'm enjoying my life, but I'm not upon the truth. There's something in my life that is missing. I didn't know it was Islam, obviously, at the time, but my songwriting was always spiritual. I wrote a song called "No More Divisions" between brothers of all nations. And sadly, when I became Muslim, I realized we are still divided. And I'm working towards unity because I really believe right now, one of my dreams is to die and see the Ummah finally putting all things aside and we can focus on the bigger picture, So I became a singer-songwriter and I had a lot of time in my hands. I was not working at the time. I was not living the rat race, as they say, 9 to 5. So I think that helped me to realize, there's actually a problem. And something I want to mention is I also understood that Shaitan is real, and I got scared because I thought I need protection. I never believe. I've always believed in God. You see, in the Christian faith, we believe Shaitan is like an angel. We believe like Shaitan is like a Santa Claus. It's something to scare the children. I didn't believe that actually Shaitan is a real entity, and it's coming after me, after everybody. So when I realized that, I thought I really need a religion who has a strong shield.
What brought this idea to you? I mean, what
Shaitan?
Yes.
So many things, so many triggers. But let's talk about what I know for sure is the music industry. The music industry is filled with satanic messages in some of the biggest stars, including French one. It's international. So in your song process...
You entered into that world?
I was an independent artist. I've never got signed up, but when you sign, and even some artists said it on TV, it's not a conspiracy. They said I had to sign a deal with the devil in order for me to be where I am right now. So this is real, So when I saw that, I said, what, this is scary. I realized actually some of the music videos done, there's a clear subliminal message in it that people cannot understand. But there's a deal. Ultimately is to get the masses hypnotized and indirectly worship the shaitan and all the things he wants to do. So all these things about this concept, you're free, burn your life. You have only one life. You're free to do whatever you want. Where does this concept come from? We have to be very careful. So for me, my barometer is, of course, Allah. But I know Allah says in the Qur'an, you have one enemy. He's not mentioning anybody else than Shaitan. And this enemy is actually involved in every single industry. You just have to find out where he's hitting you. And this is something I think that is very lacking in our Ummah right now. We are not aware of that. We are not suspicious enough. We are too naive. And the Shaitan, he works through corruptions, he works through deception, he's using other men, to drag us.
There are unlimited manifestations of the shaitan.
Yes, correct. So
now, after conversion, what sort of challenges met you? Was it really tough initially?
Well, of course, you have to give up on... I was living with riba money. I invested my money in a scheme where I put all my saving, and some of my saving, most of my saving, and I was getting a monthly income. So for 1 year as a Muslim, I was living still every month, getting something, not working. Alhamdulillah, brother, when I told him how I was earning my money, he said, I think this is riba. And I stopped it, and this scheme got destroyed after 2 months. So I would have lost all my money.
Subhanallah. So you saved yourself.
A great story I want to share with you. So I saved myself. I had 2 Japanese people who became Muslim, and they were under my scheme. So one sister, I told her, fear Allah, she already became Muslim. It's riba, get out of it. She got out of this. My other good Japanese friend, I told him, he said, no, I still want to stay in the scheme. He lost his money. 1 year after, 2 years after, he came back to me. I said to him, look, you lost money, but this time if you don't listen to me, you're going to go to hellfire. So become Muslim now. And he became Muslim as well. So his actually failure in the riba made him become a Muslim. So
after he lost his money.
After he lost his money,
SubhanAllah.
he got to have the lesson. But now he's very happy. He's wearing the beard. I mean, he's like a proper Muslim. He's living in Japan. And his girlfriend of the time became Muslim as well. So there was barakah in it. But the biggest challenge for me was maybe women. You know, I was like most of Westerners, living the normal life, having girlfriends, and it's difficult to stop. You know, but I realized I was empty. You know, like all this. The biggest challenge for men usually is women and wealth. Wealth didn't really consume me. Women was a bit harder because I was a singer-songwriter. You know, I had many opportunities.
They get attracted to you.
Yeah, I mean, especially after I became Muslim. That's the funny thing.
Really?
Yeah, like abnormally. That was the biggest test. After I became Muslim was even more challenging because they were chasing after me, and I had to cut off my relationship, and I moved to Malaysia. I had to change country because Philippines was becoming a bigger fitna for me, and I stopped my career after 1 year. I had already like 500,000 fans on YouTube, and so I had a lot of followers at the time. But I stopped everything. I did music videos with Miss Universe, some actress. I stopped everything, and then I went to Malaysia. I started to do some dawah work, and as they say, the rest is history. I got married with a beautiful Malaysian woman who's been supporting me in all my projects. You know, who's been my Khadija from the very beginning. So, I mean, when you give up something for Allah, it's always good for you, but you're gonna have to make the sacrifice.
MashaAllah. So initially you are being tested, inevitably. Yeah. It will have to happen anyway. This is like a rule.
Allah tells us in the Qur'an, I will test you with fear, death, poverty. And so we know this life, I mean, beautiful khutbah before I left to Malaysia last Friday, he was telling us, if you think this life is going to be easy, Jannah is the place. But this life is going to be a life of tribulations, and he was, of course, again referring to the corona. And there's always a bigger plan of Allah. Like there's what we see in front looks really bad. But actually, who knows, the corona might be the biggest blessing. Why? Because people didn't care about Allah. People didn't care about death.
Actually, it's making people think.
Now they have two choices. Or they keep believing in this material world, or they're going to start to realize, hey, this thing might hit me now. Am I prepared to live out from this world now? Because everybody live like he's never going to die.
Yeah.
So true. I always try
Although death is every day, is a daily phenomenon.
Yes, but we put the cemeteries far away. Like I know in the Arab world you still have this tradition, but in the West, I mean, it's like very far away from the cities, and we don't visit the death anymore. So we are cut off with this reality. We all gonna die, and this corona actually is a big wake up for everybody, because even if you can't run away, and so I think hopefully, and this is one ayat in the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really put his in my heart. He says, they are planning in secrets, but I'm the biggest of the planner. So whatever happened, whatever happened, whoever or whatever happened from the source of this disease, I really trust Allah that ultimately He's going to have the last word, and ultimately He's going to save millions of lives. As I said at the beginning of the interview, for me, my biggest concern is One of my best friends lost his friend in Abu Dhabi 2 months ago, and he died of heart attack at 40 years old.
Wow.
And I was about to show him freedom. I was in Abu Dhabi 3 days after. For me, this is more dramatic. We don't understand, like, when we talk about human crisis, the biggest human crisis is all these millions of people who die every day without La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, without even being introduced to Islam. And the Ummah is not rushing. You know, we focus, for me, like from what you do, like what everybody is doing in media, that should be the priority. Get the message across before people pass away. Because what happened after, like what's going to happen to my family? We know in Islam, I mean, there's no like gray area, especially if you reject the, you know.
You are either here or there.
Exactly, so it's or paradise or hellfire. And for me, I hope that, you know, through this interview and more interview, people will finally realize like our job as Muslims is to convey the message. Do
you see the phenomenon of conversion on the rise? Can you sense it? Can you feel it?
Yeah, it's happening all over the world, but it's organic. It's not engineered. You know, there's a way to engineer it, to put the right resources for this. You know what I mean? So it's happening. There's small efforts, but it's not, the Ummah is not behind that project. That's why we're getting into trouble, I think.
Unfortunately, the wealthy in the Muslim world are just squandering their money on useless things.
This is right. I mean, this is unacceptable. Like, there's not such a thing as, I mean, in Islam, the money should always flow. You know, like you have money, as long as you invest, you're going to get more barakah. But for some reason, we have adopted this mindset of keeping so much for ourselves and not giving, you know, when it's necessary. And I think right now, media should be the biggest investment. Because if you understand that you can impact someone like me, you can reach me in the Philippines and make me become Muslim. You know, so unfortunately, we're still focusing on building big masjids where nobody show up on Fajr, which is a prophecy.
Yeah.
Look, and so why? Because it's there. Media, people cannot see. For example, me, I made a film. Maybe like 200 people became Muslim already because of my film. But you and I will never know. Or maybe after this interview, do you have any way to measure who can be impacted, you know? So of course you can see the numbers, but the true impact, Allah only knows.
Yeah, true.
So it's so important to support what you're doing, and because people need to get the word across and invest in the right. We must have priorities, you know.
Well, Julien, thank you very much. It's been really a great pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure is mine. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.